WNYathletics.com would like to thank today's sponsors. Howard Hanna Real Estate Services. Ready to sell your home? Visit howardhanna.com today. Howard Hanna. Home happens here. Western New York Immediate Care. With 4 convenient locations in the Buffalo area. Amherst, Buffalo, Depew, Lancaster, and Orchard Park. Western New York Immediate Care is now offering telemedicine services to provide you care anytime, anywhere. Visit WNY Immediate Care on-site or virtually at WNYimmediatecare.com. Logistics Plus Buffalo is your go-to resource for all your transportation needs. LP moves freight of all shapes and sizes all across the world. Call LP Buffalo today at 716-877-9653 or email buffalo@logisticsplus.com. AdPro Sports. AdPro is the largest team sports dealers and brand merchandise providers in the nation. For a variety of custom merchandise solutions, from apparel to promotional items, visit adprosports.com. Empire Electric. For all your home, business, or office electrical needs, call Empire Electric at 716-634-0330. Free estimates and financing available for all customers. Empire Electric. Call 716-634-0330. Frank Wolf. I'm joined with my good buddy Francis Beck, who somehow got out of his driveway this morning.
Well, I woke up at, 7, shoveled just my half, and then went back in, took a shower, and then noticed that half of it, got rid of, came back, but I still got out. I mean, it's the town of Tonawanda. They take care of business. We just go slow. We're only 10 minutes away, so, no big deal. This is Buffalo, as much as some people out there might forget, and we know how to handle snow here. But I'm excited to be here. This is kind of I guess we call it a soft premiere of our show, right, Frank?
Yeah. This is definitely a soft premiere. We're launching today mostly because of the snow, and we assume a lot of you have nothing better to do than watch us right now. We're without Tom Prince because Tom is, 6 feet of snow in Orchard Park. This is something we should be streaming, is Tom out there shoveling. If I think we need to get a crew. Where's Alex Colsty and Jeremy from Jamestown? They're closer right now. There's no driving ban in between. I don't think there's a driving ban between Jamestown and
There
OP.
might be one in Orchard Park at this point.
Yeah, well, those guys could figure it out. Maybe a sled or one of those snowmobiles. But if Jeremy and Alex are out there, if you guys can set up a stream for us over at Tom's Place in OP, that's absolute must-see TV, I gotta believe. My snowplow didn't get to my driveway this morning, but to his credit, whatever he would have plowed at 4, 5, or 6 in the morning would have been back by the time Michael and I started the expedition to the office this morning. We got here no problem, though. I mean, you were complaining about the way I drove here, right? You were arguing with the way I drove into the office?
The route you took seemed to be longer than you needed to make it.
Okay, well, when you come down Creekside, you have these it's a windy road, is it not? There's a couple windy areas, and there's a lot of deer that like to hop back and forth, so yeah. I didn't want to take any chances. And actually, I got here the exact same time you did. In fact, you made the right turn on Creekside a minute before I made the left on Niagara Falls Boulevard.
Well, that's because I was going slow, and I have a much smaller car than you do.
I have an 8-year-old boy in the back seat, and I was cognizant of that fact. And I took my sweet time getting here, and I beat you in here. So, but anyways, that's neither here nor there, Mr. Beck. Are you going to make it to 4:30 Mass?
Oh, I'm going.
Are you going to do Sunday?
No, I go Sunday morning.
Okay, all right. So with that, Tom, we hope you're okay out there. We know you're not watching.
We're going to try to get him on Zoom. We figured out how to do Zoom with this too yesterday. Yeah. Thanks, of course, Tim Gardner for making our graphics. So we figured out Zoom yesterday. We were going to have him zoom in, but then it sounded like he thinks he needs to take care of the snow stuff, so he didn't have the time to join us today. But thank you to all of you for joining us today on this finally snowy. I honestly...
we were joking and quite vocal me probably more than you, about this storm that was coming in. We're like, okay, where is it? It's not here. And
That's what I was. No, I said that too. I said,
Okay.
look at all this snow.
No.
Actually, I could have said much worse things, but I was tame.
You were tame. So yesterday we were here. There was nothing here. I mean, Tom was unable to get into the office because in OP they got a lot of snow yesterday. And by the way, we will get to the high school sports in just a second. We're just clearing our throats right now. We're just kind of yapping at each other and trying to be a little entertaining. But we are going to get to high school sports. We're going to talk about all the 5 football matchups coming up Monday.
Can you imagine if we were driving to Rochester right now, as we were supposed to be?
Thank you for pushing those games off, by the way. That would have been, yeah. Well, knowing us, we would have spent the night. We would have been
That's
able to have.
probably true.
Would have been able to have a garbage plate last night,
Yeah,
or this morning, or both.
probably probably this morning.
So, well, we're in 5 different sites,
Yeah,
which
I'm gonna have
is.
to figure out how to get the garbage plate. I might just have to drive out my own.
Wait a second. You're going to McQuaid.
Yeah,
You're like minutes from a garbage plate.
is it one?
Yeah.
I know there was one near Brockport.
Yeah, you're. There's 2, and forgive me for not knowing the names of these establishments because
Yeah,
I've
maybe,
technically never been there. I've
You know
never
what,
had one.
if you haven't already, you can start commenting on Facebook on our conversation. Maybe if you know the best place near McQuaid for me to get a garbage plate.
Shout out to Dennis Palermo, who's watching from Jamestown. Dennis, I will be at Hilton on Monday night. So if you're making the trek to watch the Red Raiders take on Hilton, I'll be there. I'll be working, producing for the NFHS stream. Who do we have on call for that? Who I have Mark Johnson and Timmy Morozic.
You have it on here?
You got it on there?
Yeah, you put it on here. Yeah, Mark and Tim, yeah.
Mark Johnson, Tim Morozic are calling that game for Jamestown Hilton. Do we go back to making fun of Tom in the snow that we didn't get yesterday, or do we just go right into the show here? We've got some people watching, so thank you very much. We are going to try and do this every Saturday. This is kind of a spinoff of WGR's Inside High School Sports that Tony Caligiuri and Roger Weiss had done for well over a decade. They brought us into that show. We are forever grateful to Tony and Roger for inviting us in. But we were a big part of that show for probably the last 6 years, I got to say. Francis, you got an opportunity to even host that show a few Saturdays. I got a chance to host that show. Remember when poor Tony hurt his arms?
Yes, that's
And,
right. Yeah.
So he graciously allowed us to come in and help, run that show for him. And that was a dream for me. I mean, hosting a show on WGR and 550. I don't care if it was Inside High School Sports, the Sabres, Bills, or whatever. You hosted a show on a major radio network, and so did I. And that was amazing for us.
Yeah, that was fun.
Forever grateful for Tony for that. Who we will try to get on the show at some point. Roger actually is coming on today at 10 o'clock. We're going to welcome Roger into the show to share some news. Palermo isn't even in the snow right now. Palermo just texted me. He's in Scottsdale, Arizona. Bro.
I don't know.
So he's not. Oh, maybe I wasn't supposed to say that. I hope no. Okay, well, can we edit this?
No, it's live.
Sugar. Okay. Janelle, I don't know about cancellations on Monday yet. I don't think we'll know until Monday. I don't think.
I think at this point
They're
the
playing
only
those
thing-
games Monday. I got to believe.
Yeah, I think they're playing those games Monday. I really don't think they would move them, and I think they're going to make every case to. And I know they moved. I think it was the the Class D game because OAE has grass on it. I read, so they moved that to SUNY Brockport to make sure it was on the turf and that could get cleared.
Okay.
So yeah, they're going to make every effort they can to make sure these games are played. Because if they're not played, well, there's a whole semifinals and finals that need to still happen as well, and you don't want to put these teams at any more disadvantage. They already are, and that's for both sides, Section 5 and Section 6.
Dennis Palermo just invited us to Arizona to spend the holidays with him. You and me.
Hot.
Too hot. 6 feet of snow in Orchard Park right now, 20 degrees, and a guy just invited us out to Scottsdale, Arizona to hang out with him. He said he would pay for the tickets, he'd put us up in a hotel, buy us dinner, and you just said no to that?
I'm here covering. We got to do the state playoffs, Frank.
We need to rethink. You need to rethink your life with that statement. Yes, we do. Well, we didn't have to go this minute. You know, in the airport, last I checked, no flights were coming in and out anyways.
Well,
so.
they just reopened it, I found out.
They are reopening it?
Yeah.
All right. Dennis, you might see me. I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna mull over that for just a little bit. Janelle's telling us that Lackawanna is completely plowed in. Now, does that mean they're plowed in, meaning the streets are clean, or they're plowed in, they can't move?
It probably means they can't.
Janelle, we're gonna have a little confusion. I'm confused.
I know. I was seeing some pictures from Lackawanna. It was actually on Channel 4. The one meteorologist couldn't come into work because he lives in Lackawanna, and somebody decided to abandon their car he lives on a side street, abandoned their car right at the intersection so the plow couldn't come through and plow away the snow.
Well, that guy's not getting any Christmas cards this year from his neighbors. In fact, I would take all the snow collectively from your sidewalks and dump it right in front of that guy. I'd bury that car.
Well, the plow can't get by though, so they gotta get the car out before the plow can come through.
Yeah. Okay, streets are not plowed. Janelle's saying the streets are not plowed.
Okay. Well, they don't need to.
We got time, Janelle.
Yeah, we got time till Monday.
Janelle, we got time.
Yeah.
I'm personally not coming over to plow out anybody. Unfortunately, I can't plow. I don't have a plow. I wouldn't know how to work that thing. I have a shovel and an 8-year-old boy who, needs to get it back into Santa Claus's good graces after a poor math test recently and some other fine words he's learning on the school bus. Let's see. Scott's banging away with questions. Scott, my man, he's saying Attica got hit with a lot of snow, which is not surprising. Yeah. I would imagine Attica would. We're going to get to the games, and we're going to talk about what's intriguing. They're all intriguing. Let's be honest. They're all intriguing. I'll tell you what. Francis, I got to do a spot with a Section 5 television. Is that television or was that radio? Who are those guys?
It's
they're TV?
WROC. It is the affiliate of WIVB here.
Okay.
That Frank spoke to.
Okay.
It was online. I think he used it on TV, but
yeah, no, probably online.
Yeah, they used it online. AJ Feldman, shout out to him, and I believe it was Carl.
Face for podcasting. Carl Lewis.
They do a great job at WROC. Worked a lot with them, my former employer. So yeah, they do a great job. And thanks for having Frank on and talking about our Section 16.
I'll tell you, we did this off the record, off air. They think they've got one legit shot Monday, and that's the Class D game. They think that's their only one that they think that they should win. That's the one that they're saying we're favored here, but we think Section 6 is going to win the other 4. Now, that doesn't mean much. It doesn't mean much. It's just opinion, but I'm telling you, I'm relaying the message to you folks at home that they believe that when it's Oakfield, Alabama, they think that's their best shot of getting to semis out in Binghamton the following weekend, which will be out at Union Endicott, and WNYA Athletics will be. We're streaming for the NFHS network. We're hired by them to do that. We can't put it on our networks per se, but we are actually doing the streaming for the NFHS network. So you'll hear like this weekend, you'll hear Stu and Tom. They're going to be doing Bennett McQuaid. You'll hear Mark Johnson.
Yeah, this will be Monday.
Yeah, Mark Johnson and Timmy will be doing Jamestown Hilton. We have, is it Joe Kraus doing the Iroquois game? Open up that.
Here again.
Okay.
This is probably bad television right here.
No, it's perfect. Joe Kraus and Tim Chief are doing the Iroquois Batavia game, and then Norm Rodriguez and Colin Wood will be doing the Lackawanna Attica game. It's ROC Sports Network out of Rochester, our sister station, I like to call them.
Well, it's still on the NFHS network. To be clear, everything's on
Yeah.
the NFHS
Yeah.
network. You got to get that subscription. If you already have it, you're already covered. Not to mention, if you get it now, you can get access to not only all 5 of those games, you get access to the state semifinals, you get access to all the other games. So in fact, if you want to buy it today, we have a couple volleyball games you can probably watch.
Yeah.
Then you can watch some football games for the Syracuse and Binghamton teams, and you keep it for Monday's games, next weekend, all the way to the state finals. So might as well get it, get many games, get your money's worth, If you only buy it for one game, it's $12 for one game. But if you watch 12, it's $1 per game.
Yeah, I mean, The football games Monday night are going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Those are some really, really good matchups. I feel very good about Section 5's chances. Really, I like Lackawanna's chances, to be quite honest, in their game. I think that's, people are calling it a toss-up because Lackawanna, Attica, haven't been here in a while. But I just like the way I like what Lackawanna has going for them right now. That team from week 1 has been extremely confident in themselves, and that's a difficult recipe to get away from. Once you have that, and let's not say they haven't faced adversity. That Fredonia game, they faced a number of adversity. They had a couple of late penalties that extended drives for Fredonia. They had maybe an interception that turned into some points for the Hillbillies, but they definitely faced adversity in that game. Southwestern wasn't a cakewalk for them, I don't believe.
Well, I think that was the biggest question going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Is that I think we maybe thought that division could have been kind of weaker compared to the others, and so we weren't sure in terms of Lackawanna's competition, but we kind of mentioned it. They faced the gauntlet in the playoffs of C-South, and they took care of business. Obviously, they had the close game at the end, but they made it through that gauntlet, and they did what they were told. And I think, actually, we kind of talked about this too, is other than Bennett, they're kind of the most complete team, especially offensively, in terms of they have a couple strong runners and they have a good passing attack too. We've seen a lot of good teams make it this far, and usually they're one-dimensional. You don't see a ton of truly two-dimensional teams make it this far, and you can say that about Lackawanna, you can say that about Bennett.
I think you can say that about Jamestown and Iroquois for sure, and then obviously Randolph's strength is a running game, but they've got some tough kids that go both ways there with Huntington and Hind. Actually, I like all 5 teams. To be perfectly honest with you, I could see all 5 teams advancing to Union Endicott the following weekend. It's happened before. Section 6 has gone 5-0 against Section 5. Not very often. Not very often, and Section 5 is always very good, always well coached, a lot of great athletes. And they take, personally, I think in Section 5, they take high school sports a lot more serious than we do here in Western New York. The coverage in Section 5 for high school sports is unparalleled. There's no coverage of high school sports in our area like there is in Section 5. Every major network covers high school sports there. And then there's other WNYA athletics out in Section 5. There's only us here.
Yeah, Pick and Splinters does a great job.
Yeah, Pick and Splinters. ROC Sports Network does a great job. And then there's that 585. They're on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know them that much. And they tackle a lot of issues outside of high school sports that separate them from others. But good on them. But I don't know them that well. But there's someone that gets out there, and they do highlight the athletes very well. So I like what they do out there in Section 5 across the other platforms. But here in Section 6, we do not have our local TV stations buying into the coverage like I wish they would. Now, the radio networks do a very good job. Down in Dunkirk, in Fredonia, Greg Larson does a phenomenal job. Dan Palmer down there, they do a very good job of recognizing student athletes.
And then the Jamestown station, our own Norm Rodriguez and Colin Wood do a lot of work over there.
They do very well.
I think Colin just had Brent Brown on his show recently.
Yeah. I did want to point out, Scott mentioned that, and on Facebook you're probably seeing this, but if not, the OAE game and the Batavia games are carried on WBTA 1490 radio. They'll cut into both games, but that's WBTA 1490 radio. I would go to that website. You might be able to, I don't know if that's streamed also, if you can listen to that in your car in case you can't pick that up in Jamestown. I don't know how far that goes, how far that signal goes.
Doesn't make it all
so
the way to Jamestown.
my guess is you'll want to go to their websites, and again, that's WBTA 1490, and maybe we could tweet that out at some point on Twitter so people can see that. Where are we? We're all over the board.
You know what, before we get, why don't we actually, this is probably a good time because we've been on for almost 20 minutes now. Why don't we take a short break? When we come back, there are other state championships going on today, and we have some results from last week we want to talk about.
We want to do that and then go to commercial?
Yeah.
Okay, so well, let's recap what we know, what's happened, the finals. We know in girls.
I guess we could do that now.
Do
I
it
was
now?
going to wait that for later. We're still getting used to this. This is a
Yeah.
brand new show for us. Sophomore year.
We haven't done this in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And the last time we did it, we were at a completely different studio,
Yeah.
a real studio.
Real studio, but similar mics.
Similar mics. Yeah, we're getting our feet wet. Why don't we do this? Why don't we take that commercial break? When we come back, we'll go through the state finals teams from Western New York, see how they fared. Some are still competing today, actually. And then we're also going to have Roger Weiss from WGR Inside High School Sports, the original show, which fueled this one. We're going to bring him in on Zoom. So just stick with us. We'll be back in just a few moments. Francis is going to send us to a quick break here. Thanks for watching WNYA High School Sports Saturday.
Does he do car?
Forget about it.
How about home?
Forget about it.
Does he get good rates?
Forget about it.
And you're saying there's no problem too big for this guy?
Forget about it. Paul, this is Johnny, the guy we've been talking about. Johnny, this is Paul Wolf.
Mr. Wolf, it's nice to meet you. Thank you for the invite.
Not a problem. It's Paul, not Mr. Wolf.
Oh, sorry, Paul.
Johnny, forget about it. For all your insurance needs, call 835-WOLF. And...
Avoiding care can lead to worse problems. Don't delay care. We're here for you.
When you're ready to buy a home, start your search at howardhanna.com. You'll be the first to see new listings, find similar properties, and connect with a local Howard Hanna agent. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
Okay, we're back. It's WNY Athletics High School Sports Saturday. I'm Frank Wolf. I'm joined by Francis Beck. Tom Prince is shoveling about 5.5 for 6 feet of snow at his Orchard Park residence.
That's why I don't live in the South Towns.
That's why?
Well, my dad always says Buffalo's the only place in the world where it's safer to drive north in a snowstorm.
That's why he doesn't live there. You can't see this, but he's wearing shorts.
I always wear shorts.
I think it was about 7 years ago. I'm down at a Buffalo Bandits game, or just happened to be walking by. I wasn't at the Bandits game. There's no way I was there because
I'm pretty sure you said you were at the Bandits game.
If I was there, I don't remember a single play or whatever. I think we were at the casino.
Oh.
We're walking back, and it's a blizzard like it is right now. Something was going on.
It wasn't really. It was light snow.
It was some kind of blizzard. And you were wearing not even a jacket. You're just wearing shorts and maybe a sweatshirt or something. Kenny's band or Kenny's theater shirt.
Yeah, I was coming out of. I was actually covering Ken Murray's hockey game.
That's what you were doing?
Center. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good for you. Either way, why in God's green earth you were dressed like that in a blizzard downtown Buffalo? But you could thank me because we drove you to a train station. You were waiting out in a freezing blizzard.
My car was parked at UB South, and I was taking the metro because I wanted.
Is that the first time we met?
No, it wasn't the first time.
It wasn't?
It was like shortly after we met. You recognized me. I think you knew that I was covering a game for you.
You were covering for us?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Time has flown. Now you're actually running. He's actually running the show here for the most part. Francis does everything: the football magazine, scheduling, making sure people are where they need to be. So we're shortly gonna bring Roger in. Right now, Diane is on. Roger's not even on. We have his wife in here. We're not sure if she's gonna give the camera to Roger, or if Roger's gonna join in, or what. But we're waiting for Roger to come on the broadcast. Soon he will. But let's go back to those. Okay, so girls soccer, Clarence Red Devils were our only Class AA, our only team from this section to make it that far. Basically, so they lost in the finals, 1-0 to Section 11's Ward Melville. Class AA finals, that was the Clarence. They fell short there, but they did win the day before to a team called Shaker out of Class 2, Section 2. The 2-1 win there. And boys, Newport lost to Our Lady of Lourdes out of Section 9. That was the Class B semifinal game. They fell 3-1. And then field hockey, we had Clarence and Iroquois. Clarence in A, Iroquois in B. They both lost in the semifinals just about a few weeks ago. And then Monsignor Martin, the St. Joe's boys soccer team, won the Catholic State title last week. So congrats to them. And then volleyball girls, that's happening today. We have 2 girls teams still alive in pool play. Portville out of Class C and Lancaster in Double A. So those are our Section 6 representatives. And best of luck to those 2 volleyball teams playing right now. I know Roger's coming in. He's looking better than ever. He looks dapper. I don't know where he goes. He's always a good-looking dude. But Diana was saying that she couldn't hear us. I don't know if they can hear us now. Do you think Roger can hear us yet?
Roger, if you can hear us, can you give us a thumbs up?
I don't know if that was a thumbs up or not.
Yeah. Let me check my Zoom settings first.
Yeah, we're going to check our Zoom settings and see if we can bring Roger in. So just sit tight, Roger. We'll figure it out. Basically, this is a soft launch to a new program we're starting here. It's the WNYA Athletics High School Sports Saturday, where you'll see Tom, Prince, myself, and Francis Beck each Saturday from 9 to 11. So it's going to be a 2-hour show right here on this podcast. We'll bring in special guests. We'll bring in coaches. We'll bring in players, things of that nature. We might even have them in studio for parts of the show. But basically, this is just a spinoff of what Roger and Tony Caligiuri had going on at WGR's Inside High School Sports. This is just a continuation of that for the most part, rebranded. But we felt that we should have this back for the kids and the high school sports enthusiasts out there. I did want to send a shout out to Paul Hutzler.
Real quick, do you want to text Roger? We're good on our end, so if you want to trying to have him test it again.
Okay.
See if he can hear us.
I did want to send a shout out to Paul Hutzler for many, many years, decades. Paul Hutzler was the guy that put all the stats. He kept the records for all the schools, all the leagues, different, Section 6 and Monsignor Martin. Paul's been battling. He hasn't been well. Just a shout out to Paul Hutzler. He is like a Western New York. He's a Western New York legend when it comes to high school sports. You talk to guys like Dick Gallagher, Denny Sarro, Delaney Jankowicz, Chuck Amo, guys like Roger. Well, Paul Hutzler is one of those guys. If there's a Mount Rushmore of high school sports in Western New York, Paul Hutzler very well could be on it, but a lot of people don't know who he is because he's always been in the background. But he's the one that makes sure the stats are right and kept the records and things of that nature. So when someone's saying I have the most receiving yards in Western New York or the most touchdowns in Western New York, you're basing that off of Paul Hutzler's hard work, and he's the one that kept those stats going. So we're trying to see if Roger can hear us yet. Roger, if you can hear us out there, give us a thumbs up. We can't hear Roger yet, can we?
Is he muted? Hold on. I might have him. See if I can
We know Roger's out there. We just don't know if he can hear us yet. Oh, I see that. Ask to unmute. There we go.
try to ask him to unmute. See if that'll.
Okay.
Hey Roger, let's see. Roger, can you hear us?
Okay. We're going to keep on trying to bring Roger in because he is a very important first guest for us to have today on this first edition of High School Sports Saturday. Again, if you're just joining in, Tom Prince is shoveling.
With power lines or something?
No, I don't know about that.
Trees fell down or something?
I don't know about that. He said he has to go in the back and shovel. I'm like, why would you have to go out in the back and shovel? Your driveway's in the front. And I was just worried about it. I said, look, you don't know if there's down lines down there. Stay away from power lines. You just don't know if they fell down. Diana's saying she still can't hear us. Should be able to hear us. But I do
The right audio box is connected for us.
Yeah. Should I have him call in?
Why don't we have maybe put him on speakerphone? Maybe.
We probably could do that. Why don't we take a quick commercial break? We'll come back and plug it into the board, and then we can put our headsets on. Then we should be able to hear him. I think that would work.
Let's take a short break.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out. All right, you're
We'll be
watching
back.
Western New York High School Sports Saturday on Western New York Athletics.
Sometimes it just isn't your day. We all need a little help from time to time. That's why we're committed to providing safe, quick, and cost-effective care. And we keep it simple. Just walk in. We're here for you. Learn more today.
Do you insure a lot of businesses?
Yes, we do.
How about restaurants?
We got a bunch.
Do you cover property damage?
Yes, we do.
How about my equipment?
Covered.
How about sewer backup?
We got it.
What if my cook gets hurt?
They're covered.
Foodborne illnesses?
Covered.
What if my party tent goes down?
Covered under property damage.
And you say this is all under one policy?
One policy.
When do I pay?
Once a month.
Just one time?
Just one.
Is there anything you don't cover?
What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
31.
Tables. We don't do tables.
Gotta love Buffalo.
For all your insurance questions, call the Wolf at 835-WOLF.
We realize now more than ever is the perfect time to have the perfect house. We're confident we'll find your dream home. Howard Hanna. Home happens here. With exclusive buyer insights and our 100% money-back guarantee, we're confident we'll find buyers for your home. Howard Hanna. Home happens here.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA, with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics. Call our Buffalo office today for an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs.
Sometimes it just isn't your day. We all need a little help from time to time. That's why we're committed to providing safe, quick, and cost-effective pediatric care. And we keep it simple. Just walk in. We're here for you. Learn more today.
Okay, we're back for WNYA Athletics High School Sports Saturday, and we're going to bring in one of our favorite guests of all time. Well, this is our first guest.
Yeah, first guest. Even beat Tom here.
He's even on before Tom Prince. That's correct. Yeah, Roger Weiss from WGR's Inside High School Sports is joining us, and it's been good to see Roger out and about these last few months. I don't think he's missed a week of football.
I was at least 1 or 2 games every weekend.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Roger, of course, has joined us recently on the Connolly Cup. It was good to see him partaking in that. He also does, assists the Trench Trophy guys, and he's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to high school football. He's got a great opinion, but not just football. Roger's the guy that really put the emphasis on the girls' sports. You know, they were not getting their just due, and Roger made sure to correct that. He brought the spotlight onto the softball and girls basketball for sure. And a lot of young ladies who play those sports are forever indebted for being recognized by a lot of these college coaches, D3s, D1s, and even the junior colleges. I know Roger has a great relationship with Nate Butel up there at Niagara Community College. But Roger, you've been doing high school sports for how long now?
Oh, since 2002 Harvard Cup football season. It's funny you mentioned that. Coach Nick Tadero over at Maryville, when I started out my first Harvard Cup championship game, Thanksgiving 2002. Believe it or not, in a losing cause, the quarterback for Hutch Tech was Nick Gennaro.
Yep.
20 years ago, Frank.
Are you
Wow.
saying Nick's an old man?
It's 2002,
You
really
said
20 years
I
ago.
didn't.
Yeah, that's something. And now, of course, Nick is the coach at Maryvale and had really turned that program around. I know when Coach Jeff Bucheri stepped down, the team faced some uncertainty there in terms of, identifying themselves, what kind of team they were going to be. Nick swooped in with his a very talented assistant coaching staff, and, they competed. They still competed. They might not have won a lot their first year, but we knew, Roger and you knew, that Nick Todaro, he's a defensive coaching guru. He did an exceptional job with the Buffalo Public Schools. I believe it was McKinley. He did a very...
Hutch Tech and...
I think he was at Hutch Tech and an assistant at South Park.
Wasn't he at McKinley too, though?
No, I don't think so. He was at Canisius for a little while.
I know he's at Canisius, but I could have sworn I met Nick when he was on the McKinley staff. And then Hutch Tech opened up. He put in for it, or maybe it was Hutch Tech. We'll have to go back and see. But either way, Nick Todaro is a really good football coach. Any way you slice it.
And let's keep in mind, he's got a kid on the Connolly Cup finalist and a Trench Trophy finalist. It's not bad.
No. So that program is in really good shape right now. Unfortunately, they fell short of their goals. But, Pioneer was one heck of a team, too. Let's not forget, there's another good defensive team, and it was just a battle of wills in that one. And, that's where Maryville's season ended. If we want to, talk a little bit about the Flyers and their program. Either way, they're looking up. And Roger started off the conversation by talking about when he first started in high school sports, it was him covering the Harvard Cup in which Nick Todaro was a participant on that day. Roger, the Harvard Cup, that was traditionally always on Thanksgiving, of course, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I wonder if... I brought this idea up earlier in the year about the Chuck Funky Bowls. Why don't they take the Chuck Funky finals and maybe push them back to like Thanksgiving and go back to that tradition and call the Chuck Funky Bowls, the Harvard Cup finals? Because you know how like with the Funky Bowls, you'll see like kids they lose interest, right? Some of these players lose interest. They know they're not playing for a state title. It doesn't have the same appeal of going to, say, play at Syracuse or the stadium. But maybe they could do something with the Harvard Cup where they make those Funky Bowls a little bit more appealing to those kids to keep them motivated and let them play at a Buff State or somewhere all in one place. Is there 3 Funky Bowls or 4 Funky Bowl finals?
It depends on how many teams. Like, for example, this year, there wasn't one in AA because there was only 5 teams.
So you had...
It depends on... There should have been 4 of them.
So what if they had like those 4 Funky Bowls, call it the Harvard Cup, and play them on one weekend at one location, a prestigious location perhaps, if it's Buff State? Imagine what it would do for recruiting there. Or God forbid, maybe the Bills extend their stadium for another day and allow 3 to 4 games played there on an off weekend for the Bills or something to that effect. Roger, what's your take on something like that?
Oh, that's a tough one, Frank. Let's see. I know the Bills, there would have to be some kind of interest because there used to be one Saturday. Now, this is going back when Harvard Cup was strictly Harvard Cup, but they would set aside a Saturday, and there was 2, maybe 3 Harvard Cup games played on one given Saturday, obviously on a weekend when the Bills were out of town. Now whether they'd still be receptive is excuse me, bearing in mind that we are now down to only 5 Hartford Cup teams. You have Burgard in Class B. You have Bennett Combined Schools and Hudstock Combined Schools in Class AA. And then you have McKinley and South Park in Class A. So logistically, there'd have to be a lot of shuffling to pull something like that off. And again, with what you have in mind, it would be contingent on how the regular season pans out and how these teams qualify for the playoffs. That's a tough call. Logistically, very difficult, and that's saying the least.
Well,
the other thing, though, I think that would be an issue is I think you're really starting to cut into those winter seasons. Is because, winter seasons actually started this week in terms of practices.
Yeah.
So now you're cutting into, basketball, and I know, hockey usually starts scrimmages then, and
yeah.
I think you guys are, I think that would kind of cut into that if you start extending the season.
Well, I don't necessarily think they have to start or play them on Thanksgiving. What I would suggest is they put those Funky Bowl finals at one location, maybe even on a Thursday. If the sectional finals are on Saturday, Sunday, have those finals played on Thursday night, something like that, just in one location on a bigger stage for those teams. And if it's at one location, then you could possibly draw more media attention and maybe get some more college coaches out to see these kids, or if they send reps, I don't know, just instead of having them in all different, home sites of the upper seed or whatever.
Robert, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the point of the Chunk Funky Bowl game, named after Chunk Funky Bowls, is they wanted to, the whole thing was about getting these kids, extra games and the opportunity to get extra games, and because the football season is so short, and if you don't make the playoffs, the times you were only stuck with 7 games, you would practice for 2-3 weeks, and then you'd only have 7 games. So the point was kind of to get these kids some extra games in, so to make it a little more worth it. Because basketball, you have 24 games, it's a long enough season. Baseball, you have 20, but football, you do a lot of practicing for only a couple games.
What if they went?
I think one thing it's in the back of your mindset. Yeah, this year it would have been nice, but for the most part, you're predicated on the city schools losing their first round playoff game. And I don't think anybody foresaw South Park, McKinley being eliminated necessarily in week 9, which is what happened this year. That's something that's got to be something they don't want to talk about. Another point in mind, the trouble is, the farther you get into the, quote, postseason, especially if these teams are eliminated from state playoff consideration, the toughest job football coaches have with their multi-talented football players is keeping them off the basketball courts once the basketball season opens. And this isn't something new. This goes back 50 years plus when I was going to school. The basketball coaches were beside themselves trying to get the basketball players to hell off the basketball court and over to the football practice where they belong. So that's another thing you're up against.
Very true. Very true. So we don't want to necessarily extend the football season to where it's interfering with the winter sports. But here we are. I mean, you've got 5 football teams that are getting ready to play this weekend, and then you may have another 5, 4, 3 at the very least. Hopefully 1 will be moving on. So that's another group of players that aren't able to contribute to their basketball teams. I mean, that was something.
But the other thing, if you notice the calendar, the state championships for football, for the 2 soccers and field hockey, that they happened last weekend. 2 days later is when the winter sports start. So it's really only, volleyball's going on this weekend. So it's really only football that runs into this situation. Even if you go to like the winter to spring transition, the state championships for hockey happen. The next Monday is when baseball and softball start. So they kind of plan the calendar so that, and football is just kind of the outlier here.
Yeah. Roger, obviously it was good seeing you out in the at the different stadiums. I saw. I didn't see you at the stadium. Or did I get a chance to see you at the stadium?
Well, I was strictly up in the
Yes.
far east press box, just because stairs up and down and all that would have been too much for me. I would have loved to gone down on the field, but I might have needed a helicopter to get me back upstairs. So that's why I avoided the sidelines as much as I would have liked to have been a part of it.
I did see you on Friday. I came through that as the M&T Bank Suite where they do the
That's correct.
Where they do the media day. So I did come through and I got a chance to talk to Roger for just a little bit. Roger, who I really miss seeing, and it's probably been 4 years since I've seen him there, is Paul Hutzler.
Yeah, Paul's, that's another reason I opted for the, that M&T press box. Make sure at least I could pick up stats, pick up rosters, since they no longer have a physical program anymore. They have to do it strictly virtual. I try to get him as much information as I can. I visit him at least once a month, sometimes twice. Hey, Paul's getting up there. You want a rough idea how old he is? Last time he visited, his wife told me his great-granddaughter just got her driver's license. That means, you're playing with house money when you get to be that age.
You know what? What's interesting, Roger, about that, in respect to Paul and you, we also, this is the first year that we had the sectional finals without Denisaro, without Miguel Rodriguez. It was our second year without Dick Gallagher, Chuck Amo, who passed away last spring. We've lost a lot of high school football guys that this was their love. This was the time of year that they really enjoyed being around. And the best part of this weekend for me, Roger, is just going into that press box and seeing you guys. All you guys that have dedicated your lives to covering high school sports. Denisaro didn't have to be a part of high school sports. He could have just worked and never bothered, but he did. Dick Gallagher never had to spend a minute supporting high school athletes. He didn't have to. He did it because he wanted to do it. Roger, all the time you've spent, highlighting these student athletes, no one ever paid you to do it. You just did this because you knew it was important. And I think that's the beauty of high school sports to a degree. That's what's so wonderful about all you guys that did all this on your dime. I mean, I don't know how many miles you've put on your car over the years. You and I have traveled to Jamestown. I think we even traveled to Syracuse one time together. But you and I have traveled across New York State for some of these playoff games and things of that nature. We didn't have to do this. So high school sports, the coverage is down, and we need new blood. I mean, we need people to follow your lead and Dick's lead and things of that nature. There's just not enough people out there that want to donate their time to making sure these kids are recognized. But I'll tell you, it was difficult going through the press box on that Friday and not seeing guys like Miguel and Dennis and Dick Gallagher and even Paul Hutzler, who's still with us but unable to attend those weekends any longer.
Yeah, and that might be subconsciously, now that you mention it, me not going to the Conley Cup Suite. And let's face it, the Conley Cup Suite, location-wise, a lot closer to the field than the M&T press box. But I think the thought of going up there, not seeing Dennis, would have been hurtful.
Yeah, it was tough. But, you know, we got through it. And those guys, I'm sure they were watching wherever they were. And we saw I thought we saw some pretty good games at the stadium, Roger. I know that the Fredonia-Lackawanna game for sure came down right to the bitter end there. But Iroquois Pioneer, to me, that was a pretty good game. Iroquois Pioneer, Pioneer kept them under 20 points.
Well, you know, Pioneer, like I say, their coaches, as good as they come, he's like Nick. You'll find a way, keep you at least competitive. And even the Bennett-Lancaster game, as one-sided as the score would appear to be, Lancaster gave it their all for at least a half. At halftime, that game was not over.
No.
So
not at all.
It's not like, look at the difference between Lancaster and Bennett and Orchard Park Bennett. The Orchard Park Bennett game was over, 2 minutes into the second half? The second quarter?
Yeah.
Lancaster should be applauded. All the teams, even Frank, it's hard to say it, but and it might sound facetious, but in order for Randolph to beat Franklinville and Ellicottville, I still call them, much to the chagrin of that school, Evil Frank, but Randolph had to come from behind. So,
they did.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to be there.
It certainly was. And God willing, we'll all be there again next year.
Yeah, I'm still looking forward to it. It's on my bucket list. Thanksgiving 2003.
Hey, Roger, I got to ask you, if you're able to, what game this Monday night would you most likely to be at?
Oh, God, that's a tough one.
To me, Roger, Bennett's expected to be there. Jamestown was expected to be there, and we've seen both those teams in that game. We've seen them a lot and play in those types of games. We don't get to see Iroquois that often. Lackawanna has been very difficult for Iroquois to get past Western New York Maritime. Finally, they did it. Finally, they've been able to overcome that mountain. And they deserve that trip, and they've been good enough to get there. They just haven't been able to get past Maritime because Maritime is a great team, just a great program. So I'm very interested in seeing that Iroquois team, but Lackawanna as well. It's been since 2008?
2008, yeah.
Since Lackawanna's played in this game, so I'm interested in seeing those two games. I'm going to work the Jamestown game, but I will be keeping an eye. I'll have my phone up. And I'll be going back and forth on the NFHS network, checking out those two games. But I'll tell you what, I got to take my hat off to Coach Rob Pizanka and that entire Iroquois program because, again, that team has been so good for so long. Trey Kleitz was just a tremendous quarterback. They just couldn't get over the hump of Maritime. But now they don't have to worry about them. And look, smooth sailing into the Section 6 final. They had a great, battle against Pioneer, but here they are. And I think, Roger, that was kind of maybe that was weighing on their minds a little bit. Maybe that, not take anything from Pioneer. They're amazing. I mean, that defense is certainly as good as advertised. But man, Iroquois had to battle some demons in that game. Because
Not to mention the weather.
Not to mention the weather, but they got over the hump now, Roger, and now I think that team, now that they've been able to get over the hump, I'd watch out if I was anybody facing Iroquois from here on out. I really would.
I agree with you on that one. As far as I think the unfortunate circumstances are dictating, because I guess they don't want to close the schools, or take the kids out of school. So all 5 games are played in the evening. I could probably make a case to justify, no matter which game I go to, the one game I have in mind, to me, I believe, not knowing much about the rest of New York State, but the Class D team from Section 5 is supposed to be really good. And I'm almost guessing the Class D Far West Regional could be the de facto state championship game. This is what I'm hearing. I certainly, like Randolph a lot. Of course, I'm such a Xavier Hine fan. Maybe it's a little bias on my part. But boy, what you saw from him in that game, he's the real deal. And I saw him in that game, and I saw him in the opening game against Salamanca in week 1. This guy can play, and don't let these rumors, whatever you want to call, fool you. This guy could be the starting running back on literally any team in Western New York. He'd sure give Micah Harry a run for the starting job at Lancaster. I'm sure Steve McDuffie would love to have him. Could you imagine Iroquois backfield with him and Trevor Berry? Are you kidding me? And could you imagine Maryville with him and Justice Hill? You don't think this guy could play on any team in Western New York? You're only fooling yourself.
Yeah.
The young man can play the game. So, and Lackawanna, they're just a lunch bucket crew. Nobody flashy. They're not going to have a Connolly Cup winner. But boy, they got a line. They got a running back. They got a quarterback. I would not want to play them. Hey, look what they did. Sure, they had what appeared to be a gravy schedule on the way to the playoffs, but they beat Salamanca, they beat Southwestern, they beat Fredonia, a team which knocked off Medina. They belong there. So, it's Class C, Class B, Class D. Jamestown won the championship, 8-2 record. Arguably, they could have been 9-1. I still think they were overall the better team in the Orchard Park game. They won the Class A championship. Class A, if you look at the Funky Bowl game, the teams that got there, in fact, the play-on games, what game was that? Newport and Sweet Home. Those 2 teams were really decent teams this year. They didn't even make the Funky Bowl. And for Jamestown to come out of Class A, that shows you how good they are. Class A, 13, 14 teams, all competitive. So I like Jamestown's chances. And Bennett, what can we say about Bennett? that we already haven't said. I'm looking forward to a successful weekend this weekend. I only wish there was some way I could be at more than one game, and some way I could finally figure out which game I want to attend.
Well, that's certainly so. I'll tell you one thing, Roger, because I know we're going to get moving on in just a second, but the one player for Bennett, and I'm telling you, Francis, I think I may have told you this before, but one player to me that I knew was going to be good, and I knew was going to be someone that they were going to have to lean on at some point in the season, really stepped up over the weekend in that Lancaster game, and that was none other than Noah McDuffie. His interception in that second half, I think, was I think that's what turned the tide in that game. That interception, it wasn't a pick six, but he took the ball
early in the second half?
I think so. But that was just one of a handful of plays that young man's made this season that really started to turn some heads. And that kid's a player, and he's only a sophomore. Now, we know they're getting a lot of contributions out of a number of players, specifically offensively, and we could talk about Rashard Perry until we're blue in the face, but Bennett's got a lot more depth this year than I think they had in the last year where they went all the way to states. This is probably the best Bennett team collectively I've seen in quite some time, Roger, and I really like their chances here, not just Monday, but I like their chances overall. I think they're going to, and the other kid is Davis, the quarterback. The last 3 or 4 games he's played, maybe 5 games, he's shown that he does have some accuracy. He's got the ability to chuck that ball 40, 50, 60 yards downfield. He's turned out to be a very nice quarterback. Last year against Carmel, he really struggled, and he'll probably be the first to tell you that. But I'll tell you what, he's improved tremendously, and if Bennett can throw the ball with consistency, something they could not do in that game against Carmel, look out. Look out.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm really glad you mentioned Noah McDuffie. I would be accused of being a homer if I bring his name up, because, I'm a lot closer to the McDuffie family than people think. I adore their sister, Gabby, girls basketball player, played for Nate 2 years at M Trip, and now is, probably a top 6 or 7 player at Damon College already. And of course, you're probably going to ask me what took so long to say this, but even though, Noah and Isaiah, they played at Bennett, but Bennett being a combined school, I want you to know the McDuffie family matriculate at the Shrine at 319 Suffolk Avenue in the 14215, formerly known as Kensington High School. So that means an awful lot to me. So anything I say about the McDuffies, unfortunately there's bias in my opinion, and you might question objectivity. But yeah, I'm glad. I texted somebody, I don't know who it was, because I got a couple numbers on my phone that are Conley Cup people that I'm not sure who are there, who were questioning, what do you think about McDuffie as player of the year? And I just texted back, I don't have a problem with that, and I left it at that. But believe me, I wanted to say, yeah, for sure.
Not too many of us would disagree with you, Roger, but obviously we're always thinking about you, Roger, and this show that we're doing right now is going to continue We're not going to do it the next 2 weeks because next Saturday we're at Union Endicott. The following Saturday we're at the Carrier Dome. Now it's called the JMA.
I don't remember. I got it wrong before, so.
Depending on how much time we have, it's possible we'll pick it up from the Carrier Dome with Tom and Francis, just depending on how much time we have. But once we're past the football state finals, that's when we'll pick the show up. It'll be every Saturday, 9 to 11. Roger, you're more than welcome to come into the office and partake in that, or we could do it via Zoom. Hopefully we can get the audio thing straightened out for next time, but I want to thank you very much for tuning in and being a part of this first show here, because we really couldn't have done it without you.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and I think it would be better coming in the studio. It's been a couple of years since they made that Saturday morning drive, to Maple Avenue and all that, and I dearly miss that so much. So yes, if that's offers there, I'm gonna accept it before you change your mind. So I'm looking forward to a week or two before the Christmas holidays. Couldn't think of a better way to spend Saturday morning. I want to thank you for this opportunity. Needless to say, it means so much. And Diana, thanks you so much. She wanted me to have this so bad.
Well, you can't do a Saturday morning high school sports show in Western New York without you. We're going to also try and team you up with your old tag team partner, Tony. We reached out to him. Hopefully Tony will join us as well one of these Saturdays. If not every Saturday, one of these Saturdays in the near future. But we definitely want to make sure you two guys are a part of it, because if it wasn't for your show, we wouldn't have our show.
Well, anything we can do, you let us know.
You bet. All right, Roger, thank you very much. We'll be we're going to continue for like another half hour or so at the most, so stay on with us if you continue tuning in. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a little bit. You are watching the WNYA High School Sports Saturday with Tom Prince, Frank Wolf, and Francis Beck, although Tom is hiding out in his driveway with a shovel and hopefully some warm hot chocolate. Be back in a moment.
You mean a mere 5 foot of snow keeps him away? I can't believe it.
That's the only thing that's ever kept him away from a microphone is the snow.
That and a driving ban.
Tom doesn't pay attention to driving bans.
What driving ban?
All right, we're going to go to our commercial break. Roger, thank you very much. It's great to see you, my friend.
Take care, guys. Good luck.
Yep.
Western New York Immediate Care's new locations are now open. Whether you've suffered a minor injury or just aren't feeling well, Western New York Immediate Care provides safe, quick, high-quality care at an affordable cost. Our clinicians are trained to diagnose and treat non-life-threatening injuries and illnesses and are equipped with on-site x-ray and labs to help you feel better, faster. With 4 convenient locations open 7 days a week, Western New York Immediate Care is here to help when and where you need us. Visit us online to learn more.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics. Call our Buffalo office today for an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs.
When you're ready to buy a home, start your search at howardhanna.com. You'll be the first to see new listings, find similar properties, and connect with a local Howard Hanna agent. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
He asked me a question and I came back and
That was a horrible toss, by the way. Like, you're not even on the screen anymore, so I didn't even know we were back. How come
because that had the zoom on there.
I'll
fix this.
All right.
See,
all right. Now we could get back to that was a horrible toss. Number one. Number two.
This is why I have to soften here. So don't tell anyone
okay.
that toss was bad. Just tell them that we're going to be doing this after the football season's over. So middle
Yeah.
of December we'll start this.
We're working on
I won't
things.
be here for that episode. I just realized.
Wait a second. You're missing the Carrier Dome.
No, the weekend after the Carrier Dome.
That's when you're gone?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, yeah, that's
I've
right.
mentioned this like 3 times.
Yes,
and he's
yes.
like, oh, we're going to do a big party. And like, I already told you I won't be able to be there because I'm not at where I'm supposed to be. I'm
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
much dead.
And your mom's giving you a hard time about it, I hear. Or your dad is. Who's giving you a harder
My
time?
mom's giving me a hard time.
Oh. Definitely want to give a shout out to Mario Hall, who's been down a little bit lately. Mario lost his grandmother actually just a little over a week ago. We were actually at the stadium. Was it on Thursday or Friday? It was Thursday he lost his grandmother. Right?
I don't remember.
Yeah, he lost his grandmother that morning.
I thought it was. Did we find out till Friday?
Maybe it was Friday. He lost his grandmother, and we told him, Mario, you do not have to come to Orchard Park. But he insisted. He insisted on coming because he knew how important it was to the kids. So Mario is amazing. He's just a great dude, and we're very lucky to have him. So I want to send a shout out to my guy, Mario Hall, this morning, who's just a great guy. Just an absolutely great guy. And we're not sure when we're going to see him again, but I would imagine in Union Endicott. They're having a service for his grandmother, I believe Sunday, and then her funeral service is Monday. So shout out to Mario Hall. We're thinking about you, buddy. But what Francis and I wanted to do for the rest of the show is talk about these 5 football games that are slated for Monday. Do you think there's a possibility they would push them off to Tuesday now? Or because we don't know what's going on in Section 5, and I don't have Alexa here to ask her.
I don't think they're getting really hit that hard over there. As long as they can clear that field, and as long as the roads in those towns are plowed enough that they can get those buses up to Rochester, I think we'll be fine. I don't think, because this storm is supposed to, as far as I've heard, end pretty much Sunday morning, early Sunday afternoon. So you just get the plows through, clear everything out, and send them out Monday.
Hey, if you're watching on Facebook, we're about to get into these 5 games, but real quick, I told my son I'd take him to Dave and Adam's Card World. So if you're on Facebook, if you can send me a message to let me know if Dave and Adam's Card World is open or not, I'd appreciate that. I don't have time to call right now and see. Either that or Lasertron. I got to do something with this kid. Otherwise, we're both going to go crazy if I have to spend 12 hours of playing basketball. We have one of those little basketball mini hoops in the basement.
Play outside. You have a hoop outside.
Do you see the 6 feet of snow out there, or 4 feet of snow out there?
You just shuffle off a little bit. That's a little area. And then, or you don't, or you could just play tackle football instead.
Ooh, yeah, that's what we could do. That's probably what we'll end up doing. Let's get into these games. Do you want to start AA or work our way to D, or you want to go D and up to AA?
Let's go AA down.
AA down, okay.
Yeah.
We don't know who St. Francis is playing it either, though, for Monsignor Martin.
We're still waiting on that. We do know that game is going to be a week from today, actually.
Is that game, though, Iona Prep and Stepniak, is that playing today?
I don't know if that. No, I meant the game.
Okay. The winner,
the
yeah.
championship game is this week from today. It'll be at St. Francis.
Also, if you're watching on Facebook, if you want to do a quick little search and let us know who St. Francis is playing next week, that'd be great. Or you can tweet at us at WNYA Athletics or at Francis or at myself. That'd be great. Let's get into it. AA, Bennett taking on McQuaid. Rematch of last year, a game that was played on a Tuesday at Will South. Some controversy there, but we're beyond that. And Bennett and McQuaid will lock horns this Monday. I know McQuaid may have maybe missing a player or two that they were counting on, but let's face it, Francis, I don't know who or what is going to beat Bennett this week.
Other than Bennett.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that what we've been saying for really the past 2 years? I think I go back to last year, that Orchard Park game in the regular season. They fell in, they were favored to win, and they fell by considerably favored mark on a Saturday afternoon as Orchard Park's homecoming. And I think you mentioned to me, you noticed that I think the week before, they were already looking ahead to Lancaster, because they had Lancaster the week after.
It was.
And so they kind of let their guard down Orchard Park, lost Orchard Park. But that kind of changed the tone from this program. They kind of got very much more disciplined after that. They not only took care of business at Lancaster, When they faced Orchard Park the second time, we think beat them by like 60 points. And I think ever since, like, you know, this Bennett team has always been talented. They've made a couple trips to the stadium, but they usually were held back, usually by penalties and stuff, and, you know, some self-inflicted wounds. But it was after that game last year at Orchard Park, where I think they were licking their wounds a little bit. They certainly turned a corner, I think, and that's kind of what led them to the stadium last year. And then, you know, obviously they go out and they schedule these big games, Austintown, Finch, McDowell, and, you know, they really they really prepared themselves for really these last few games.
You know what? The confidence that Bennett has right now and that they've really carried on since that Orchard Park game is the same confidence that Lancaster had for so many years. You know, we're Lancaster, we are just, this is how we do things. We don't brag, we don't boast. We just get down to business and win. And we prepare the way a championship team prepares. Before, I thought it was more of a cocky confidence out of Bennett last year. We're good. We know how good we are, and we're going to roll you, and we don't really need to prepare. That team that week that I saw before they took on Orchard Park was a cocky confidence team. They were not paying attention to Orchard Park. They didn't want to know anything about Orchard Park, and they lost the week. And I said to the kids, I said, guys, you got Orchard Park this week. I mean, they're not going to lay down for you. They know how good you are, but, they got some ballers too. And Bennett lost. After that, I think that humbled them, and I know the coaching staff really got through to the guys. And I want to say that humbled them, and that's now the quiet, confident Bennett team you have now, where they are taking the preparation for your opponent seriously. It's truly a 1 week at a time scenario. So I think that's the difference between this Bennett team and last year's Bennett team. They were more cocky, confident last year. Now they're just confident, and they're delivering, and they're preparing the way that a championship team is supposed to prepare, and that's from the top down. And let's face it, they've had their share of adversity this year. That clerical issue that cost them, the overall number 1 seed certainly played a little bit of into their hands. They used it. They might have needed some bulletin board material, because it does get boring when you're clobbering teams by 40, 50 points. It might get boring. So they needed that kick in the butt, maybe. Maybe they needed something more to kind of fuel them for this playoff run. And it couldn't have come at a worse time for their opponents, because they have been a different team since that clerical issue, if you will. And like I said, I feel bad for McQuaid this weekend. Bennett, just when they put their minds to it, they cannot be beat. So I think Bennett moves on. Who do you think out of that? Now, when you look at Bennett's stats, and I was talking to the guys from Section 5 about this, they didn't even mention Jaden Lewis, because he doesn't have the best stats on the team. But
I didn't even really. I thought he was having a down year until I saw him at the stadium. I thought he was having a down year, and then you see him at the stadium, and you're like, oh, this kid he's
just as good as he was. Yeah, absolutely. So playoff performers rise. The cream rises to the top, right? The cream always rises to the top. Jaden Lewis is, in my estimation, one of the top players, if not the top player in Western New York right now, and that includes every single team and every player. I think Lewis is the top overall football player in Western New York. That's my personal opinion. And I think he clearly showed that, why I think that way last Friday night.
All right, next team, Class A. It's going to be Jamestown against Hilton. You look at this Jamestown team, and how often do you see a team win back-to-back sectional titles doing two completely different things? Last year, they were led by the Connolly Cup winner, Jalen Butera, running attack. And then this year, completely flipping the script, they go, Trey Drake, now it's your turn. You have to throw the ball 40 times a game. And you know what? He delivered.
And then some. I mean, he had a rough game against Lancaster week 1. He probably tried to do a little bit too much. I don't know.
They were still, there was
it was a 16-9 game. It's not like they got blown out.
Yeah, it was a one-score game still.
Yeah, it's not like they got blown out. It was a great game. Micah Harry played too, didn't he? Like he wasn't supposed to. Like they were worried about him, and then he was cleared and he went. That was a big lift for Lancaster today. But speaking to Jamestown, they fell short against Lancaster. They go to Orchard Park, a botched snap, and maybe some drop passes led to that defeat.
That was probably one of the better games of the year. It was a shootout, back and forth with Ben Gosella and Dylan Evans. I mean, we were lucky that we were able to put that one on tape delay and show that. But that was probably one of the better games of the early part of the year, and he went toe to toe with one of the top offenses in AA.
Yep, and let's not kid ourselves. Jamestown easily could have walked away with a win that day against a AA rival. And Jamestown was a AA school forever, and they might be back in AA next year. You never know. But I think now the guys from Section 5 told me that they were surprised Hilton got here, and they weren't too high on them this week. I can tell you, from my point of view, the best football player in Jamestown is O'Brien.
Okay.
From where I sit, that's the kid that is going to keep Hilton on their toes. Now Drake can sling it. We know he can. But they have to shut down that Hilton offense. That's Drake can't go out there and make tackles for you. O'Brien, this is where he's going to have to shine. Mm-hmm. And he's done a very good job, especially late in the season. In fact, we'll talk about the Conley Cup finals in a little bit, and I thought O'Brien was a guy that may have played his way into that conversation. But he's one of the most exciting football players I've seen. A great two-way player. He can contribute on offense. You know what? He's this year's Ben Anderson.
Okay.
He's this year's Ben Anderson. Defensively, might be a little bit better. He gets to the tackle. He's just a ball hawk. He gets to the ball quickly, and he makes the tackles, and he's going to keep that Hilton offensive coordinator up all week. I can guarantee it.
All right, our next game is the Class B affair. It's Batavia, who actually won their game by a Hail Mary. They'll be taking on Iroquois, who we mentioned earlier, finally got over the hump over Maritime and is able to make it into they won a sectional title, make it into the state playoffs. I was actually, I was looking up Trevor Berry's stuff, and he actually broke multiple records this year, and he tied the Western New York single-season rushing touchdown record, which I'm trying to do some research here to see if he would actually be able to break it this weekend if he scores another touchdown. But still, 42 touchdowns on the year, and he's only a junior, which is just mind-boggling. It feels like he's been here forever. We still got another year after this.
I know. He's got a whole nother year at Iroquois, and you've got that young quarterback, Justice Kleitz. So I don't know what the drop-off's going to be. Now, Nate McGoldrick is a jack of all trades for that Chiefs team. They rely on him for a lot of things, a lot of little things that may not show up on the stats page. Just an unbelievable football player that they will be counting on. And again, Francis, I'll say it again, I really think that Maritime, Western New York Health Science Merit team was like that was just the thorn in their side that they didn't have to worry about this year. And I'll tell you, I think that this is the year they would have beaten them. Yeah. If it came down to it. But now that they're beyond that and don't have to worry about that, I honestly think Iroquois is in great position to do some damage.
I mean, they're very balanced.
They are very
The
balanced.
question, which we haven't really seen it, is you're taking a freshman quarterback this deep in the state playoffs.
Yep.
Now, we haven't really seen him. I don't think we really saw any cracks last week. That offense, I think, if there were better conditions Friday, they probably could have put up another 2-3 touchdowns possibly, but I still thought he made some pretty decent throws despite the weather.
Yep.
So I think that is going to be a good game.
I just want to go real quick into Class B for New York State just to look a little bit further down the line. We can do this. I know Iroquois can't do it, but we can do it. Just to see what's in store for them. I'm trying to pull that up right now, but I'll tell you this. I honestly think Iroquois is in great position right now. There's a team called Peru that's 8-0, Maine Endwell. They're always a tough out. Ask South Park, but they're the ones that ended their run. Indian River, weren't they? I think we saw them out in Syracuse not long ago.
Familiar, yeah.
You know, but yeah, I honestly like Iroquois' chances. That Peru team is putting up a ton of points. Michael Gregory's here, trying to sneak in. I like this Iroquois team this year. I think they're just well balanced. I'm going to tell you the difference between Western New York Maritime Health Sciences and this Iroquois team. And Western New York Maritime was a very talented group, right? Everything. Down to the kicking game, though, is where Iroquois is better than them. What got Maritime Health Sciences in trouble, which get a lot of teams in trouble once you get beyond this weekend, is the kicking game. You have to be able to kick. And it's not just getting the ball, off your foot. It's getting the ball from this long snapper to the holder. It's getting your a good.
Getting a rhythm down.
Yeah, it's got to have the rhythm down, and that's something that a lot of schools just don't have at this point. Maritime never did. This is where they struggled, and it cost them points. You can't always go for two. You have to be able to put those extra points down, because if you're not getting two, and the other team's scoring touchdowns, and they're able to kick, you're talking 2-3 point games. You're giving up points. You have to be able to kick extra points. You have to be able to punt and put teams deep down in their own territory and make them go the 90 yards, make them go 80, 70, yards to score.
Well,
Iroquois can kick.
Well, here's the other thing, too. They're not one to, the other thing that teams struggle with especially is if they're one-dimensional. I think back to a couple of years ago when West Seneca East had that run, part of the reason, and I gotta be careful how I say this, they had an advantage because the sectional final, the regional final at Clarence, and I think the semifinal were all kind of snowy, bad weather games, and they were kind of a running team, so that gave them an advantage. But if you remember, when they got to the Dome, that other team, they could pass the ball very well. West Seneca East couldn't, and that was kind of what really hurt them in the final. So especially, maybe not as much in these outdoor games, especially if there's snow, but when you get to that state final, being able to throw the ball is such an important thing, because you're inside a dome, and if you have a two-dimensional team, they're going to be able to throw over you. You can't.
We've seen it.
Yeah.
With CSP.
Yeah.
Years ago. So, yeah, I honestly really like Iroquois. Don't tell them. I don't want to say it too loud. Don't take what. Don't read into that too much, Iroquois. You got a lot of business to take care of, but I like their chances, Francis.
All right, Class C, real quick. Lackawanna at Attica. We talked a little about it with Roger. That is another team that's complete. They have a couple wide receivers. They have a couple of running backs. They have a quarterback who's very good. And I think, we talked about, I think if you looked at the Connolly Cup, which we'll get into in a second, there were no Lackawanna guys on there, and there was a little controversy around that. And I think one of the things that made it tough was that there were so many guys from Lackawanna, it's hard to choose who is the guy because there's just so many of them.
There are. The thing with Lackawanna right now is I don't want to say they're playing with house money. Attica's playing with house money. This is a toss-up game, but it's tough to beat a team that's full of confidence. It's just tough to do that. And Lackawanna has been super confident all year. Are they a cocky, confident team? At times they've been a little cocky.
Maybe a little.
I mean, we see it. We see the chatter.
Yeah.
They're a little.
Well, that's also parents versus kids.
Yeah, I guess. But I'll tell you what. We were waiting for when they were going to have to face some adversity. They've proven they can battle through it. I mean, that Fredonia game, they were up by 2 scores. A couple things go Fredonia's way. Next thing you know, you're talking about a 2-point game. And Fredonia's got the ball. And Lackawanna came through. I think Lackawanna's defense is heavily underrated. We talk a lot about their quarterback. We talk a lot about their receivers and threats. We don't talk a lot about their defense. And I'm telling you, Francis, we have to pay a little bit more attention to what they're doing defensively. I remember talking to Depew football head coach, and he was telling me how good Lackawanna was defensively. He goes, we're going to have our hands full. And he was right. and I've been very impressed with their front four on defense, their pass rush, being able to stop the running game. They gave up a lot of yards to Fredonia, but a lot of that was second half. First half, Francis, that Lackawanna defense they weren't bending.
And I think remember the one touchdown, long touchdown for Fredonia, the quarterback fell for Lackawanna. So, I mean, that kid doesn't trip. We could be talking about a different game at the end.
How many footballs were thrown into the secondary that were knocked down by defensive backs and strong safeties or what have you? The Lackawanna secondary was phenomenal in that Fredonia game, particularly in the first half. Any contested ball went Lackawanna's way. And again, Francis, it was that defensive back or whatever that fell down that opened up that huge passing play that led to a touchdown by Fredonia. And that might have happened twice. And then there was a couple of pass interference calls. I really like the Lackawanna secondary and their defense as a whole. And I think that could be the key to Lackawanna from here on out. We know they're going to be able to move the ball. We know they can run the ball. We know Getchell can throw the ball. But that defense, you talk about balanced teams. That might be, I think you even said this, that might be one of the most balanced team we have representing Section 6 from here on out. But like Iroquois, I like Lackawanna too. And they're playing with house money.
All right, real quick before we get to the Connolly Kevin Trench Class D, Randolph gets a chance at redemption. I know you were at that game last year between Randolph and OAE. What do you expect this time around?
Well, I think Randolph's going to be in a dogfight. They're the underdog. They are the underdog. Oakfield, Alabama, like Roger might have said, this might be the de facto Class D championship. Oakfield, Alabama, I believe, lost last year at Cicero North Syracuse. I don't think they advanced. So there's a lot of football left after this week. It used to be whoever won, CSP, or if they were playing Homer, whoever. I don't remember who they were playing out of Section 5, but usually whoever got through that game kind of coasted, and we've seen that, Francis, right? CSP had their way with teams in the semis and again in Syracuse. They easily won those state championships. So I think it will be a dogfight this weekend. If Randolph's paying attention, there could be a lot of bulletin board material out there, because from what we've seen out of Section 5 is they are fully confident in their Oakfield, Alabama Elba team taking care of business this weekend. But how can you bet against a kid like Xander Hind, who really has one speed, and that's full bore? He's a tremendous football player, like Roger said. He's a Connolly Cup finalist for a reason. Look at the job he did last week against Franklinville-Ellicottville. He was a one-man wrecking crew for a lot of that game.
That drive that literally
took the entire third quarter. So, there's ways to beat teams, and that's keep their offense off the field. And when you have a running attack like you do, and the Horses, and their offensive line is no joke. I mean, those guys are monsters. Keep Oakfield, Alabama offense off the field, make plays on defense when you need to make them, and execute. And that could be a recipe for success. We'll have to wait and see. Can Section 6 go 5-0 this Monday night against Section 5? There's a good chance of that. There's a good chance of that.
A better chance than there have been in the past couple of years, I would say.
Yeah. And, Coach Brown, this isn't his first rodeo. Randolph is historically a tough out in the playoffs. They're no strangers to the postseason. They've won state titles. They're on the verge, and they have that short window because Hind and Huntington, they're done after this year. So they know they have to, play their hearts out, their guts out, and they're going to leave everything on the field. No question about it.
All right, real quick before we wrap up, do you want to mention the Connolly Cup finalists we announced, how long ago was that? Was that Monday? Yeah. Yeah, that was Monday. Wow. Time flies during the playoffs.
And you guys just announced it. You guys didn't pick. Yes, I'm on the committee.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure.
But I mean, we have collectively, WNYA Athletics has no say in the final 10. As a group, we don't, right? Mm-hmm. I'm one committee member out of 17.
And half the time he disagrees with the rest of us too. So actually more than half the time.
Yeah.
But real quick, those Connolly Cup finalists, we don't want to get too much into it because we did an entire show Monday that we want you to watch. that Tom and I did along with Stu, and a big thanks to Nelson for coming in. So it was Trevor Berry from Iroquois, Trey Drake, Jamestown, Dorian Faison Jr. from Williamsville East, Ethan Fry, Fredonia, Micah Harry, Lancaster, Justice Hill from Maryville, Xander Hind from Randolph, Ricardo Kidd, St. Francis, Jaden Lewis, Bennett, and Noah Willoughby from South Park. So check out that show. And then we also did a show exactly a week ago from now when things were very different outside. We unveiled the Trench Trophy new Hall of Famers again. We are not part of that committee. They just came in and we were able to unveil their finalists, which we were so happy to do so. But you can watch that as well. So their names really quickly: Tommy Carlson, Lancaster; Ryan Carpenter from Randolph; Brendan Donnelly from Iroquois; Aiden Dubeck, St. Francis; Caden Hensley, Clarence; Sunday Aganawu, I know I said that wrong; Lackawanna; Chris Johnson, Medina; Evan Lockville North; Balaam Miller, St. Francis; Rashad Perry, Bennett; Patrick Tan, Amherst; Desmond Walker from Maryvale. So again, Trench Trophy Connolly Cup finalists, just give them to you there. You can watch our shows from last week. Be sure to watch those back. Those are really a lot of fun to do. Frank, any final things before we wrap things up?
I did have one out of the news and notes category. Now, Tony used to open up the show with news and notes.
Uh-huh.
We're going to end the show with news and notes.
Did you decide that now?
Yeah. Executive decision. This way people remember.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? We close the show with news and notes kind of thing. Maybe people remember these things. But anyways, got an email from Niagara PAL, Art Eberhardt, about the Santa 5K going on up in Niagara Falls. That is the 5th annual Niagara PAL Santa 5K. It's slated for Saturday, December 10th, which is also the same day as the Dick Gallagher annual football banquet. But basically, there's a 5K race. It's up in Niagara Falls. It's $30, or it's $25 registration pre-race, $30 day of. Registration starts at 7 a.m. Race starts at 9 a.m. It's a certified course along Old Falls Street to the Niagara Scenic Parkway. So it's a pretty nice route that they got there. You're going to see a lot of cool things as you're running in that race, but there's a high school element to it, which caught my eye, which is why I'm bringing it up for under news and notes. So basically, if you're a high school cross-country team, there's teams of 5 runners, okay? So your high school cross-country team or track team want to enter this, you can enter as a race team of 5, and they're using cross-country scoring, and then they're going to present a trophy to that winning team that you can take back to their school for your trophy case. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Really quick.
You can't win money, though.
What do the proceeds go to?
You would ask me that. Niagara PAL.
Okay.
Police Athletic League.
Oh, Police Athletic League.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to have a basket auction, and there's over 100 auction items already expected. It's part of the Jingle Falls festivities. Have you ever been up to? I used to go up as a kid, Niagara Falls for Christmas, whatever they did up there. They took
My grandparents live in Lewiston, so I've been there a number of times. So
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Village. So
Well,
although I've never been to Niagara, in the city of Niagara Falls, in terms of downtown by the falls too many times during Christmas. But
Okay. Yeah, it's been decades since I've been able to do that, so that's kind of cool. Parting shots. Do we have parting shots? Winter high school sports coverage will be kicking in right around Thanksgiving. We have to get through the next couple of weeks with football, and we're tired. We are tired. We're almost running on fumes here, so we'll get out and get some previews for hockey and, basketball, boys and girls, and some other winter sports like bowling and wrestling and those things. But just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what we're doing in the winter, we know that it looks like we're going to be doing hockey Monday, Thursday, Saturday. Maybe not every Monday, Thursday, Saturday, but look for our hockey live streams on any of those days. Maybe all 3, maybe 2 other 3, but that's when we'll be doing hockey. Every Wednesday we're going to do wrestling at one school. Not necessarily the biggest and best match of that Wednesday night, but we're trying to get to as many schools as possible because the numbers have been down. We want to see if we can help build those numbers up, and one of the ways we thought was by devoting one day out of the week to wrestling. going out and supporting a program that might be down in numbers. If we come out and support that program, maybe they'll see an influx of numbers, even if that means combining with a rival school 5 miles away, whatever it takes to save the sport and keep it going. We're going to commit to every single Wednesday night of doing streaming, and hopefully Matt O'Rourke, a wrestling guy, will be able to join us on most of those broadcasts. He's working on a list right now of the Wednesdays matches we're going to be going out to do. Basketball, Tuesday, Friday for sure, boys and girls, and knowing you and Tom, you'll probably go out to another day. And then we're going to try and bring in some bowling action too. We'll try and stream the bowling. It was difficult for us to do states last year, but we gave, or was it sectionals?
We tried to do in sectionals. We gave it our best. It wasn't quite up to the quality I think we wanted.
Yeah.
We might have to go back to the drawing board.
We have to fine tune that. We have to fine tune how we cover the bowling. But it's something we definitely want to do, boys and girls. So basically with that, I want to wish all of our Section 6 teams Monday night the best of luck. Right now, we're all Bennett. We're all Lackawanna. We're all Jamestown. We're all Randolph, and we're all Iroquois. We are all Section 6 right now. We're behind you. We all have to rally around our teams, and let's see if we can't come away with 5 teams moving on to Union Endicott. It'll make our jobs a heck of a lot easier and a lot more fun covering. And we'll do those pregame, halftime, and postgame shows, in Union Endicott. We can't do it Monday night because of logistics.
Yeah,
we'll at
least do it for. We're not sure about Union Endicott, but we do know Carrier Dome.
Well, we know we could do Carrier Dome, yeah. So tune in, keep watching. Conley Cup ceremony is December 5th at Ilios. December 6th, the very next night, is Trench Trophy, and then that Saturday will be the Dick Gallagher football banquet, which is at the Lake Erie Italian Club in Lackawanna now. It will not be a Classics 5 due to scheduling. So that we're going through the trophies and everything else and the awards and who's going to be not, involved with that banquet, as we speak. So thank you very much for tuning in to the very first episode of WNYA Athletics High School Sports Saturday. Francis, any parting shots?
No, that's it. Stay safe out there.
Stay safe. Tom, we missed you today, buddy, but I know you're going to watch later today and get a couple of chuckles out of us. And thank you very much, Roger Rice, for joining us today, my dear friend Roger. Always thinking about you, buddy. It was great to see you today, and I'm looking forward to having you in studio when we pick up the show in a couple of weeks. Thank you very much for watching, spending some time with us on your Saturday. We will be back. Thank you very much for watching. And Jennifer Jean's watching in Dunkirk. God bless you. How you doing, sweetheart? Open up, get rid of that driving ban, folks. Let's do your part to get these roads clean so we can drive and go see our friends. Meat raffle tonight. I'll be at St. Andrews as long as they don't cancel it. Yeah, of course we're doing it. We're Buffalonians. We're going to the meat raffle. St. Andrews Church in Kenmore, Town of Tonawanda. 6 o'clock tonight, doors open, meat raffle. I'll be there. I think I'm even going to be doing a couple of the meat raffle. I'm going to be doing a couple of the calls. So come on out, let's win some meat. You can win a wheelbarrow of spirits. Am I saying that word? Wheelbarrow, right? Wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, wheelbarrow of spirits. And after the last 2 nights, we're low on spirits at the Wolf household, so we're gonna go all in on that barrel. We're gonna go all in on that barrel. If we don't win the barrel tonight, there's something wrong. A definite fix at that meat raffle tonight. But that's where I'll be. Bills, do they get out of town, Francis?
Yeah, they'll be fine.
So instead of everyone going to Orchard Park, they want everyone to drive 5 hours to Detroit.
It might be clearer that way, though.
All right, I thought it was less safe to drive all the way to Detroit than it would just to be at Orchard Park.
Where the snow is.
Yeah, I guess. They couldn't play that game at UB or at the Carrier Dome?
Well, they canceled the game at UB.
Okay.
UB football had a game, I think it's supposed to be had one today, and they canceled it.
Soft. We're getting soft here, folks. All right. We got to end the show on that note. We'll see you in a couple weeks. You were watching WNYA Athletics High School Sports Saturday. Take it easy.
Life can be full of surprises, but not always the good kind. That's why we're committed to providing safe, quick, and cost-effective care, and we keep it simple. Just walk in. We're here for you. Learn more today.
I love
There's nothing better than owning the perfect house to come home to. You've earned it, and we'll make it happen. Our local real estate experts and in-house team of financial professionals make buying or selling your home simple. Howard Hanna. Home happens here.